watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hello, this is Force 13 Live, and as you can see, light is beginning to fail in St. Lucie at least, and what may appear to be tropical storm conditions or nearly such along the coast there. And we'll be watching that webcam throughout, or maybe somewhere else if it gets too dark, and we'll see what we can find elsewhere. But my name's Nathan Foy. I'm joined by the Skype team for yet another hour of coverage at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Before we go on to them, the National Hurricane Center has come out with their update. A NOAA station at Settlement Point on Grand Bahama recently reported a sustained wind of 75 miles per hour and a wind gust of 98 miles per hour. A National Ocean Service station at Lake Worth Pier, Florida, recently reported a sustained wind of 44 miles an hour, that's 3 higher than the last hour, and a wind gust of 55. Storm's intensity remains at 140 miles an hour. Guys, hello.
Good evening.
Hello there.
Joined
And
by
hi
Lee,
from
David,
me
Craig,
over on the
Marcel, Hank,
east coast of Australia.
Nathan
And
Bell.
Nathan, I do have some
Okay,
information.
go ahead.
Where are we? Oh, I've lost it.
Well, whilst we're waiting for your
Sorry guys,
information,
I'll be back.
Magic Ninja
Thanks so
says,
fast.
can we have an update on your views of
Okay, David.
Orlando? Well, Orlando could still receive hurricane force conditions. It could be significant there, but it's going to be not until the morning that things get bad, or the worst that they would get there. Nathan, would you like to talk a little bit about the tornadoes? Someone wants to know if we know of the F levels. Do we know that of any of the tornadoes? Probably not.
No, we do not. We don't get those like immediately right after the storm. They have to do damage assessments to judge that. And from what the reports I've been seeing up in extreme northern Kansas, I'd say at least a EF2.
Guys, I have some breaking news. The
Go ahead.
death toll in Haiti has risen to 283.
Gosh!
And what was,
They keep
who said that?
Hmm?
Who said that?
Some people have been telling me this from a bunch of sources. Let me actually just pinpoint one down to see if it's the most reliable. If you guys want to say something else real quick, go ahead.
Let's go through the watches and warnings that are currently in effect right now. A hurricane warning is in effect for northwestern Bahamas, including the Abarcos, Andros Island, Berry Islands, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama Island, and New Providence. North of Golden Beach, Florida, to South Sante River, and at Lake Okeechobee. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Chokoloskee to Golden Beach, Florida Keys from 7 Mile Bridge eastward, Florida Bay, Anclote River to Suwannee River, and north of South Sante River to Surf City. A tropical storm watch is in effect for north of Chokoloskee to Anclote River. And
It appears
go ahead.
that the eye is looking to stay off the coast of the Bahamas. The eye wall is hitting the Bahamas, but this is proving not good for the Florida coastline if this keeps on making a westward move.
I believe that there's a special marine warning for the area near this webcam. Things do look inclement in the area. I'm just trying to make sure I've got the place correct. Not quite, but not too far away. There's a special marine warning, so it's getting a little bit inclement over there. And actually, I'm just looking at something here. That's something intriguing. There's a rip current statement for Apalachicola right now as well, on the other side of Florida, which is intriguing. And then you've got tropical storm warnings extending inland over places such as Gainesville, Lake City, Waycross, and quite far inland in some places now. I'm trying to figure out what that says, that location. Vidalia in Georgia, that's under a tropical storm warning. Statesboro, Sylvania, Allendale, Walterboro, and I think it's Somerville. So those are all under tropical storm warnings, and tropical storm warnings also extending, including places such as Kingstree, Conway. This is into South Carolina and North Carolina, and as far as Burgor, I think it is. David.
National Weather Service, Jacksonville. United States National Weather Service. Major Hurricane Matthew briefing, situation overview. This is now a worst case storm surge scenario. Major Hurricane Matthew is still expecting to move dangerously close to the Florida coast and southeast Georgia coast Friday through Friday night into Saturday, with catastrophic impacts expected along and near the coast. A major hurricane has not impacted this area in 118 years since October 2nd, 1898. There is no local living memory of the potential of this event. The western eyewall is expected to move along portions of the coast with sustained winds 115 to 129 mile per hour and gusts in the most affected areas. Winds will be higher in high-rise structures downtown Florida, possibly strong Cat 4 to Cat 5 intensity. Some of the low barrier islands will be completely overtopped with large battering wave and life-threatening flooding. Barrier islands are likely to be breached. It's extremely possible that new inlets will be cut in the worst affected areas. And recapping what we have been highlighting over the entire period that we've been live streaming, please heed the advice of public and emergency management officials. 40 people in New York and New Jersey did not heed these warnings, and during Sandy, and died in the storm surge. So that was during Sandy. And another major point, this will be a much greater surge than Sandy had along the New Jersey shore. And that is the latest from the National Weather Service down there in Jacksonville.
I do have a wind gust report for the hurricane. Is a 98 mile an hour wind gust reported at Settlement Point. I do not exactly know where that is.
Yeah,
so
that's what it said. That's what we got at the start of the show. Settlement Point's in the Bahamas on the western tip.
Okay. Settlement Point. All right. And check this out here. Okay, so this is a southern storm. I'll take that. I'll take a look at that one. the hurricane just for a moment, and we'll see what we got going with the tornado.
Yes,
Where
there's
is
probably lots of tornado warnings still out in effect. As you can see, it's getting dark over there near Port St. Lucie, and conditions are getting worse as well as the camera goes out of focus. There probably won't be much left to see along the coast of Florida now until morning, but we can still hear it all. The sounds of the rain coming down and the winds building.
And Nathan, this is from the USGS site. The Florida GASC beaches face 80-95% chance of erosion for Hurricane Matthew. This was put out on October the 6th. So, beach erosion, yes.
Yeah, I think that's sort of stating the obvious, really, isn't it?
That's very true. And if anyone knows the high tide times, please post it to the chat room.
Well, right now we're hearing more than we're seeing of the situation over in Port St. Lucie, and we may get some more webcams up a little bit later if we can see anything. In the meantime, guys, anything you'd like to say at this point?
What I will ask you, Nathan, the 2016 Atlantic hurricane season has now generated more major hurricane days than the previous 4 years, 2012, 2015.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that Phil Klotzbach tweeted that a little earlier.
So your thoughts, Nathan and Hank?
Well, no
doesn't
surprise with the one storm and the previous years, 2014, 2015. Joaquin had a decent run, but this is a classic, I wouldn't say Cape Verde storm, but a Caribbean cruiser perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could argue went a different way.
You could have argued that this system was a Cape Verde system because it did actually come off the African coastline. Yeah.
Now, this question for Hank: how are the Everglades, and I stand corrected, going to? What are the after effects for the Everglade region?
Well, the Everglades, their threat is diminishing already. But, well, let me just take a look at the satellite real quick. And, yeah, they really don't. The Everglades aren't really, that big of an area where it could be affected. But that doesn't mean there won't be impacts there. If the Everglades were along the east coast of Florida, it would be much more concerning. But that's not the case, fortunately. So it shouldn't be too bad there.
And Hank, while you bring that up, I'm going to put this one to you and Nathan. It's being posted, Hurricane Nicole is major culprit of Matthew path. The Fujiwara effect in tropics is when two systems orbit each other, and more common in Pacific. Your responses?
Well, it doesn't happen all that often in the Atlantic, but it does every so often. When was the last time? Remember?
Last time that what?
There was a Fujiwara effect between Atlantic hurricanes.
Oh. Huh. I don't remember. There was one storm in 2005, but it was in 2005. I can't remember. Oh, God.
Were Gordon and Helene in 2006? Were they close enough?
Yeah, they were actually pretty close. Weren't those the two that affected the UK?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. I think they were. But maybe that was the last one. If someone in the comments can say that, if they have an idea, and feel free to go ahead and post it. But I don't remember.
No.
And Matthew, it's being reported by NOAA Hurricane Hunters. NOAA 43 spotted a C-130 in the eye of Hurricane Matthew, piloted by our friends at the Air Force 53rd Weather Recon Squadron.
Yes, indeed, doing their job.
Yep.
And flying into the storms. And there's been so many flights into the storms, hasn't there?
And I was talking to Adam, and it will be ongoing.
We have a question from Daniela Silva. She asked, the hurricane, it's finished? No, it's not. It's nowhere near finished at this point. That's the unfortunate part right now.
Just because it's gotten dark on the camera doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah. The Muscle Nerd asked, what is its exact location? The NHC, their last forecast advisory said 26.4 north, that's 78.7 west. I'll pull that up on maps real quick just to give you a little bit of an idea where that is.
There's another live webcam now coming out of South Beach, Miami. Things probably won't get much worse there, but it's the only place where you can actually, the only webcam where you're actually able to see anything. Obviously it's going to get difficult as it gets dark to show you much, but we'll keep you on top of everything else.
Here's the current location of the storm. So yeah, just south of Freeport, but this is from the 6 o'clock, so it's probably in this area right now. I would assume, or maybe in this area, who knows? But it should move in this general direction. Note how I just keep it right offshore, because I don't really think we're going to see a landfall in this area. I think the landfall location is very likely to be the Space Coast, where it just kind of shuts out from the rest of the coastline just due to the geography. We can have landfall just because geography juts out. For example, last I can remember of a storm in the United States, at least, possibly making a landfall due to little areas that shut out from the rest of the coastline, is Arthur. We had the Outer Banks extend out. The storm was just supposed to go in a straight line along the coast. Then the Outer Banks get in the way, and you can get a landfall. And not saying that Arthur really did much, because it really didn't do anything. That's besides the point, anyways. So, yes.
Well, we're left with the imagery as it gets dark on Miami Beach. Still the camera wobbling there, and I don't think it's going to get all that much worse in that area. I don't know whether someone could show us maybe a large-scale view of the radar or the satellite imagery right now.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm gonna, I'll mute my mic real quick and just, ask him to write down.
Okay. Well, anyone else? Would you like to go ahead? Maybe not. Anyone else? Would you like to say anything right now?
I'll bring this up, Nathan. I think this is ongoing.
Alright. All I had to do was just close my door.
Marcel?
Hang on, I think Marcel's very faint. Go, Marcel.
This is a very serious storm that it can impact the west coast of Florida, and it will make serious damage to catastrophic damage along the west coast. I
completely agree with you, Marcel. Recon is now heading back towards the center of the storm, so hopefully we get a new pressure reading and a new location marker.
That's just an image you brought up, David.
Image in on what?
Yeah. The recon, I
And
think
if you've got any comments or questions for us, send a message. Start your message with Force 13. You can also contact us on Facebook and Twitter and follow us there. Search Force 13 all in text, and it's Fool 13 on Skype. That's FOOL13.
We have a question from Dino Flash asking, do hurricanes not fling stuff around like tornadoes? Yes, they can fling stuff around, if you want to use that term. You can see with very
tornadoes
strong
being much smaller, they sort of throw things around in circles, but hurricanes, if anything gets loose, it will go one way only.
Yeah, you can have little shingle parts of roofs just become just flying projectiles, and just pretty much anything that could be a little bit loose just becomes projectiles, just blowing in the wind. So that's why it's very dangerous just to be outside in a very populated area, because you could just have things just flying down the alleyway without any effort whatsoever. I think the heaviest object ever moved by hurricane force winds was during Haiyan. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was at least like a train or something like that. So yeah, moving trains is ridiculous. No, be happy, Katrina was nowhere near 840 millibars.
Well, the Labor Day hurricane derailed a train.
Yeah, and it had a oh yeah, Labor Day hurricane did derail a train. Forgot about that.
Lord Ketchup says, as Matthew made landfall on the island with Freeport on it, that's Grand Bahama, close to tell.
No.
It's, I think it has.
Well, let me look at the latest.
It's close.
And someone said that Katrina was 840 millibars. No.
Oh dear.
Actually, yeah, that does look like a landfall. It's a little bit hard to tell because the visible is night's beginning to fall over Matthew, so it's a little bit hard to tell. But I can just pull up RAM and I'll confirm. RAM actually has the storm just a little bit farther south, not making a landfall in Grand Bahama.
Interesting.
So, recapping, what is the current status of Matthew?
Matthew is still a Cat 4 hurricane, 140 mile an hour winds, and a pressure of 938 millibars, moving towards the northwest at least 14 miles an hour. I sound just like I did when I was doing my update. That's fantastic.
I've got some questions if you want to answer them. Has the hurricane shifted? I'm not sure what they mean by that. Maybe jogged in a direction.
By shifted any direction. It was looking like it was shifting a little bit east today, but recently, yeah, it has moved a little bit farther towards the west and it's back on its original track. So not really.
It looks like the threats at Orlando has diminished a bit. Question mark.
Well,
Not yet.
Yeah.
Can't really say that other questions. When the wind has 140 miles an hour, does that mean the storm moves at the same speed? No.
Say that again.
Well, the storm's movement is not 140 miles an hour, but the wind speed inside the storm is.
Yeah, the storm moving at 140 miles an hour. Jeez, yeah, that's probably not
Think of
possible.
the storm as a moving merry-go-round going down a hill or something at 12 miles an hour, and the merry-go-round spinning at 140 miles an hour.
That's an interesting comparison. Interesting,
something like that.
That analogy, though. Let's see. Stormcat says possibilities of Matthew joining forces with Hurricane Nicole, very unlikely. Because they're too far apart from each other, and two, if they do join forces, then Nicole will be absorbed. They won't. You can't have two hurricanes combined into one big hurricane. That's just not possible. So you can't have two Category 1s, like a 80 mile an hour and 90 mile an hour, become a 170 mile an hour. Cat 5, 170 miles an hour doesn't exist.
Do you think it's going to hit Kissimmee? Well,
Kissimmee,
same thing as we say
Probably-
for Orlando, really.
Yeah, look, I forgot where Kissimmee
It's
is.
just south of Orlando. And
Yeah, probably.
possible hurricane conditions, tropical storm conditions are cert.
But-
Could be high amounts of rain.
The center shouldn't go over that area, but you will definitely feel effects from Matthew.
Mm.
Let's see what else.
And Magpie's asking a question: is Matthew intensifying?
We don't
It
know
po-
right now. We'll
possibly.
find out in a few minutes with Recon, I guess.
Stay tuned.
Recon is actually right near the center right now, and they haven't even gotten to the eye wall yet, and they're already finding pressures of 956 millibars.
Gaming Hell asks an interesting question. Does the day and night cycle affect the strength of a hurricane?
Rarely. But it's possible, I guess, but it's not very frequent that
They all make
happens.
landfall at night.
They all make landfall at night. They all
It's,
normally most of them
oh,
actually
yes.
intensify at night. Matthew became a Cat 5 supposedly overnight. Patricia blew up into a whatever it was overnight, and a lot of stuff happens overnight, really.
Animation Fun wants to know whether there's been any updates to the computer models.
Well, I'll
And
check.
the spaghetti.
The spaghetti's not updated. I can tell you that. I can tell you that much.
And the tiny
they probably-
flashing lights on the stream, by the way, I assume they're buoys or something.
Navigational.
Navigation
Well, it could be
beacons.
navigational.
Hmm.
Yep.
Something like
I
that.
think they're for planes, Nathan.
Nah, probably for the boats, actually.
Or boats,
Yeah.
even.
Dunno,
So
it
let's
could be
actually
for planes.
let's kind of zoom into the southeast U.S. GFS has it about this point, a little bit too far east. The storm is actually right around here, and this is at 0Z, so it would be around here. So it's a little bit too far east. So considering it's a little bit farther west than this, and that could be a landfall on Cape Canaveral. So that's the thing. That's one thing, and then it kind of stalls over Andros Island, and then this kind of dissipates. That's an interesting solution. But then again, it's very far out. So looking at the Euro, actually, I think it'd be easier to see with
Have
this.
you got it on the screen there?
Oh, did my screen share come out? Oh, someone took my screen share. Okay.
No, it hasn't moved. We're still with David's. Is it David?
Yeah.
Okay. My bad.
Here we are.
But yeah, so
Got it. Let's-
yeah, so the ECMWF does have a landfall, even though this is the 12Z. The 0Z could be coming out soon. And the Euro also has the solution of it kind of stalling in the Bahamas and moving off towards dissipating. So I guess the GFS and ECMWF are in agreement with that, and when that happens, it means it's very
Yeah,
likely.
We'll go through the models here, and then we'll go to the National Hurricane Center's map, Hank, if I may, and talk about when the storm will be where. But keep going.
That works. So this is CMC. They say a landfall in Cape Canaveral, stalling, and then moving towards the northeast, intensifying while doing so. NavGem, I believe, is coming out progressive. It hasn't moved at all in the past 30 minutes. That's a shame. But I can tell you already that they're too far east. Considering if this was at 18Z, it would be around here. So they're a little bit far east, so it would theoretically be around here. HWRF says that this storm. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna go to 10 meter winds, because the 850 meter is a little bit absurd. But yes, the HWRF has a system very close to a landfall, but not quite. It rides along the coast. Landfall in South Carolina, maybe a landfall in Wilmington, another landfall near wherever that is in the other banks, and then moving off towards the northeast. It doesn't make the loop, so that's an interesting scenario. Considering the HWRF have basically been God this year, that might mean it doesn't do a loop. But it's not agreeing with the ECMWF and GFS, so that may be something. GFDL finally is saying that the system will make a landfall, just barely, then a landfall in South Carolina, and then maybe again in North Carolina, and then moving on out to sea, taking its merry time. Yeah, so as Nathan said, we should pull up the. Did you want the NHC cone, or did you want?
Yes, please.
Here you go. Not the best cone, clearly.
No. So
Yeah.
this is what we have here. So they're predicting that the storm will still be offshore at 2 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning, and it will be just off probably Vero Beach area, maybe.
And then moving towards the north and northwest, probably making a landfall in Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral, it will arrive at around maybe 6, 7, 8 a.m. At least the centre of the storm. Obviously, you'll feel it a long time before then. Daytona Beach looks like it'll be there around noon or early afternoon. Jacksonville, closest approach, will be late afternoon, evening. Georgia coast will be overnight, Friday night. The worst. These times we're talking the worst points. Saturday morning, it will be around the border with South Carolina. Into the afternoon, it will be hugging the coast of South Carolina and then moving out, it would appear. As for places inland, as for places inland, for Orlando, it's gonna be around the worst point. It'll be around what would you say? In the morning, around breakfast time, probably.
In the morning. After probably the worst part will be, probably during the rush hour or maybe a little bit after that.
If there is one.
Oh yeah, good point. Your usual rush hour time.
Yeah. We have some questions. We had a few that just went by, so I'm going to try and go and get them. Port St. Lucie, how hard is it hitting, says Daz. Well, we had the webcam up from there not long ago, and it was looking... oh, that stopped. I'll get that running again. It was looking a little bit treacherous, but it appeared not too bad yet, but that may change pretty quickly. Tropical storm force winds are being felt just south of West Palm Beach. That might include West Palm Beach, but we don't really know. Time and location of landfall, we've just covered that pretty much. And there was one other question. My mother lives 1.5 mile inland from the river in Daytona Beach. Is she in the storm surge? So maybe now's a good time to show the storm surge graphics from the National Hurricane Center.
I don't have access to those right now. Do you? But do you have a link to them?
I'm sure David knows where to find them.
Okay. I'll just look on their website and see if I can find it.
It's on the National Hurricane Center.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm on the website. Actually, it's just a position update. Actually, real quick, I'll just copy paste this into Google Maps to see exactly where the storm is. First off,
I expect surge might be an issue in closing there. It could be an issue. Obviously, right on the coast, could be a huge issue if it hits a high tide. Could be 8 feet of storm surge or more, and this is significant. It really is.
My question is, what river?
Yeah, I don't know with the information. Why does the GFS have Matthew weakening as it recurves towards Florida, even though it's going to be over warm water?
Well, sea surface temperatures aren't the only factors that go into, development for tropical cyclones. We also have wind shear, humidity, and air stability. And the wind shear is supposed to be relatively higher than it has been. I'm not saying it will be really high, but higher than it has been. And some drier air will also be being entrained due to the ridge, pulling in some dry air from the eastern Atlantic. So...
More questions. Will it get worse in Coral Springs? Might do for some time. I think that's further south, isn't it? Am I right here?
No, let's make sure. Coral Springs.
So by the early hours of the morning, things should be clearing up, though wouldn't be completely safe by morning, probably.
I would agree. Actually, real quick, let's check Recon to see what they're saying. Looks like they have not passed the center of the storm. Still curious to see. Actually, they made an... Oh, wait, that's from a while ago. Okay. I thought that said CDT. But again, that wouldn't make any sense. I don't know where to find their storm surge graphics. I remember finding them for Hermine. I just don't remember... I forgot where I found them. That's annoying. if someone can tell me in the comments, then that would be helpful. Let's see. Clowns are gone. That's good.
What's gone?
The stupid clown thing. According to one viewer, the stupid clown thing going on in the U.S. is apparently dying down. So thank God. Good Lord, it's stupid. Oh, this person says in all caps. Is it possible that the storm can go to the northeast? Yes, but it's looking unlikely at this point.
Very unlikely.
Yes, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. So, if it does affect the northeast, then it will probably be at least by next weekend. If it does, that's very speculative, and no model says that. But that would be the time that it would impact that area. Refresh recon real quick. Nothing new. And Jake Carter says the clown thing's not happening in the UK. Have fun with that, Nathan. Let's see. Oh my gosh, these things are going by quick. Trying to find. Okay. Can't Trump the Trump. Nice username. Says, how bad do you think the flooding will be in St. Lucia County as the storm will close to the eye wall in the morning? St. Lucia County, I believe is here. I think Port St. Lucie, is that where it is? I don't know my Florida geography yet. I'm learning. I'm still learning.
Yeah,
that's where I thought it was.
That's the same area we've been looking at in the last few hours.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't remember that. But the eye wall, or maybe even the eye, could affect that area by morning. You're correct. It should. You should see what all the other places are seeing. Hurricane force winds, gusts up to major force, very heavy rains, storm surge, possibly up to 12 feet in some areas, and power outages, downed limbs or even down trees, down whole trees, and possibly some major damage to infrastructure.
The mayor in Daytona is actually going to door in the Daytona area to see who's staying and who's leaving, who's evacuating.
Okay. So I just remembered that I have to finish up a chemistry lab report. So, I'm going to probably be off the next hour or two. I might just pop in every now and then. I'll just say something real quick, but this will be my last hour of talking a lot. For at least I'll just pop in occasionally in the next 2 hours. Recon's still not in the center yet. I don't know how I forgot about my stupid lab report. Will it hit her JM 21810 weather / gaming and more? Will it hit Hernando County, Florida? I think Hernando County is close to Tampa. I'm not entirely sure. Hernando County, Florida. Yeah, that's close to Tampa. That's what I thought. It shouldn't be too bad there. You're on the opposite coast, so you should be, okay. You should see some rains from squalls, gusty winds. That's basically it. You could see a few power outages here and there, but not as likely as they are on the East Coast. Let's see. Don't use your leaf blower to enhance wind speed.
I see.
Is there any Twinkies rocks as Force 13? Is there any possibility it goes west? Definitely.
Yeah, well, they've been saying that for about a day.
Yeah. New people come in every now and then.
No, it's the same person who's been saying that for a day.
Really?
20 times so far. What you're looking at right now is the latest from Miami Beach. Trees are rustling there. Nothing that I can get loaded that shows much. apart from dark skies. It's not going more west at this point. It's going northwest.
It's just the possibilities of it going more west. There's someone trying to speak. There might.
I'm very aware of the negative webcam that's available, but I cannot load it, so I'm afraid that it will not be shown. I do agree it's a good webcam, but I cannot show it, I'm afraid.
Britton Baylor Yan asks, why don't the models on Tropical Tidbit show wind speeds over 35 miles an hour inland? That's sustained winds. Gusts probably, into at least 50, maybe 60 miles an hour inland. Maybe, you're probably looking at 10 millibar winds, but that's because that's pretty typical when this shows a storm making a landfall. That's not very high. But if you look at a 50 millibar winds, then you can see it's much higher. So now this is not as high as it's going to be, but I would say at least in the yellows would probably be what I would expect for the central parts of Florida. What else is there? Staya Fuma asked, Force 13, how is the storm taking more of a west-northwest path for the last few hours on radar? Well, let me check that real quick. There, I guess you could kind of find where I live. That's nice. Hopefully you're not a clown. But
Nice.
It looks like the center of Matthew might be making landfall in Grand Bahama. It's a little bit hard to tell. Actually, let's just play the whole thing. This doesn't really go up all that far. That's definitely moving. West northwest.
It's
Or
sort of
maybe a little
skirted
bit more.
around there, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's moving a little bit more northwest in the past few frames. So that's how. And you can see, kind of concentric eye walls, kind of trying to form. That could be indicative of some dry air getting entrained. That could be indicative of an eye wall replacement cycle. It's a little bit hard to tell at this point, to be specific. What else? I don't see anything right now. I guess at this time would be a pretty good time to check recon. They have flown through and they found 938.3, 983, just 9. Okay, sorry, 938 millibars, and actually, that says 936 millibars. My bad. 936.5, and they found the center to be farther east, just to the west of the tip of the Grand Bahama, that island.
Okay.
What do they find specifically? Did they put it? My question is, did they put a drop in there? It looks like they did put a drop. That would be that's of a few hours ago, at least an hour ago. I don't know if they put a drop in there. That might take a little bit longer to come out. That information. So I guess we'll just go back to comments. GZH91 asks, is North Carolina going to be hit? We don't know for certain. It looks like it's probably going to stay south of North Carolina, but you never really know. It could easily shift back up north.
I'm just looking at some traffic cameras right now, and it appears that in the traffic as well. I'm not sure whether I-95 is closed or whether there's extremely slow traffic just northwest of Vero Beach. Just a heads up for anyone who's on the move. But I'm also able to see the traffic cameras, which is sort of giving me a guide right now. They have traffic cameras all along I-95, except for the points between Palm Bay and Jupiter. So we have a sort of a good coverage area to see what's going on weather-wise. And some of the cameras aren't so bad either. They don't update all the time, so I won't be showing them. But a lot of them showing a lot of rain. What I'll be looking for with these cameras, some of them in the towns as well, I'll be looking for any flooding that's occurring along the shores overnight, and to see what else I can report from that. But at the moment it's still looking, apart from that issue on I-95, it appears that everything is sort of in order right now.
Okay, that's an interesting comment, I guess. I can't really understand it. But I'll read it out anyways. Cody Neiman, I think I pronounced that right, asks, Course 13, why are you doing this stream? Because
I
we need to
see.
help people. Why are you
Yeah,
helping us?
because we
Well,
help
this
people out.
is... Well, it's not as if Matthew is special or anything. I mean, it sort of is, but it's not the only storm that we've done live streaming on. We've been doing live streaming for over a year for storms all around the world, and this is what the channel does, and it's what it will continue to do. It's what it always has done, and that's the way we're going to be going in the future. And whenever a storm is on your doorstep, wherever around the world you are, we'll be there to talk about it. It just so happens to be on Florida's doorstep, and that's why you've noticed, probably.
Okay.
Neil Patel says, what kind of wind speed can I expect in Port St. Lucie? A lot of people asking about that since I turned the Port St. Lucie camera off, which is interesting. Again, hurricane force winds quite possible. We might switch back to that camera soon, because even though you might not see much on the visual, it will have audio, and we might be able to hear what's going on. Original Jaws says, what kind of storm surge can be expected around the Melbourne area and somewhat inland from the coast? Melbourne could be difficult. It could get a lot of surge. It depends, I guess. If it's on the Atlantic side, it could be... sorry, is that the part where the barrier islands are? If it is, the Atlantic side is going to be pretty dangerous, and the inland side maybe a bit less so, but still dangerous, and hurricane force winds likely. Major hurricane force winds a possibility.
Everyone asking about literally every single place I can think of, and I can't think of in Florida.
People asking about Kathleen, Florida. Tropical storm force winds guaranteed there, pretty much. Hurricane force winds an outside possibility.
Cyclone, that's an interesting way you spelled it. Cyclone 500 TV says that I predict that Matthew, along with Earl and Hermine, are all going to be retired. Hermine, probably not. Earl, maybe. But we really shouldn't be talking about retirements at this point. I'd say at this point Matthew probably is going to get retired, but let's discuss that later on. Okay. Okay. Not really a whole lot of questions going on at the moment.
Alright, Bone Doctor says Port Orange, Florida, 5 miles inland. What should they expect? Parents live
Where?
there. Forgive me for not knowing where exactly that is. It's just south of Daytona Beach. So yes, it could be significant again there, though it does have a barrier island, so I guess it won't be as bad in Port Orange itself. And you say 5 miles inland, so surge probably won't be too much an issue. Rains could still cause some flooding if you're near a river or lake, and obviously the winds are going to be hurricane force, we expect, and that could be a serious thing. So that's going to be the major impact there.
Yeah. Okay. Ramon, oh, where did this comic go? Ramon Wang, interesting last name, asks, when do you think Matthew will, when do you think Matthew will die? It's too early to say right now. Possibly as soon as 5 days, maybe at least another 2 weeks out. It's hard to tell. Let's see here. What else is there? No, Cameron, Harambe should not be a hurricane name. Get over it.
People asking more questions. How bad is Clermont going to be hit? Again, forgive me for not knowing where that is. I'll look it up right now. And it's coming up with all sorts of different things. I see. That's in Lake County. So, again, similar to Kathleen, I believe, where it will be tropical storm conditions, and it could be a outside chance of hurricane conditions. I wouldn't expect it. I know there's a lot of lakes in that area, so flooding could be a possible issue, and I'm not sure whether any of those lakes might be significant enough to cause a surge. So I'm not sure on that. But yes, that is sort of what to be expected. Oh, that's me in the background. Who's doing that?
That was me. I just turned on my mic again because my dad was calling. Can you hear yourself?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Enrico Palazzo says chances that it makes landfall and stays on land low. Barbara Mackey, at this point many people are relying on your feed for information, taking this seriously. I'm guessing you're referring to the people in the comments taking up space with crap. That's nothing I can do anything about right now. We do have moderators, however, on the chat periodically. In the meantime, other questions. When steady wind speeds and wind gusts match, does this mean peak wind speed? No, peak wind speed is sustained winds over a 1 minute period. So that's the usual way of measuring wind speeds, and then you've got gusts, which are usually 10 to 20 miles per hour higher at hurricane force, and is sort of proportional to the wind speed. More questions. How can it be so close to Fort Lauderdale, but so calm? We're really expecting high winds, but I've been outside most of the day. Well, yes, it has turned out that way, and it's probably because the storm moved north unexpectedly, and that's moving back towards the northwest, so don't write it off just yet. It could start to get a little bit more windy in the next few hours. Wait around 3 or 4 hours, and then we'll see again about that. How bad can Pompano be? I can't remember where that is. I believe that's on the coast, Hank?
What? What
Pompano?
place? I recognize that name.
Yeah, I think it's on the coast, not too far north of somewhere.
Pompano is apparently in New York. That's
right.
Wrong, Pompano. I'm guessing Pompano Beach, Florida. If it has the name Beach, then I would assume. So yeah.
Yeah, that's just north of Fort Lauderdale. Okay, so again, similar things. It could still get worse yet. Okay, let's see. What else do we have?
I didn't mean to go to the Mexican restaurant and what did I just do? I didn't mean to do that.
Due to the sheer amount of people who ask about Nicole, what is its forecast and will it hit Florida? Well, no, it won't hit Florida. It could stay at hurricane intensity for some time, a bit like Matthew, but it's mainly going to stay out to sea. More questions. In Spring Hill, do you think my family will be safe? Spring Hill, again, that's somewhere that I'm unfamiliar with, so do bear with me as I type it in unashamedly. Spring Hill is on the western side, so it shouldn't be too bad there. Tropical storm conditions likely, but if you use common sense and stay indoors during the worst times, it should be okay. Let's see, Destin, Florida. Should I be worried about rip currents created by Matthew?
In Destin? No. Destin is nowhere near Matthew. It's in the Panhandle, just to the east of Pensacola.
Well, that's what I thought, but just steady on when saying that, because there is surf advisories for Apalachicola further east, but not for Destin right now. So I assume that if there are no advisories out there and there's no red flags on the beach or whatever, it's okay. Hank?
Yes, I would agree with you on that one. I'm waiting to see if the NRC has given out their
position update.
Not just position update, an update in general.
Oh yes, the next update indeed.
130 miles an hour, the peak wind speed. So
press play this.
Beg pardon?
It's 130 miles an hour right now, apparently.
It's gone down. So Matthew has weakened slightly to 130 miles an hour.
Yeah, but the pressure stayed the same, even though it should have dropped a couple millibars, because Recon found 936 in the drop. So that's interesting why they didn't change
We've
it.
got some changes in the advisories. The hurricane warning has been changed to a tropical storm warning for south of Boca Raton, Florida to north of Golden Beach. The tropical storm warning has been discontinued south of Ocean Reef, Florida to Chokoloskee. The tropical storm watch has been discontinued south of Englewood to Chokoloskee. So I'm going to find out very soon where exactly those areas are. You may already know already. In fact, Hank is showing it up on the screen.
Yes, no change in the cone. We won't have another change in the cone for another 3 hours. But yeah, this area right here no longer has any warnings in effect.
So there's the first sign of good news, at least for the western coast of Florida. It's looking like the threat is over for those areas that have left the warning zone, and Naples, one location included in that, and Everglades City as well. Does it extend to Fort Myers? I think it does. So Fort Myers might be out of the woods as well.
And Punta Gorda.
Alright, and we'll have more after this as we get to 8 o'clock on the East Coast. This is Force 13 Live. More on Matthew to come.